practical integration and real-world implications. The Alchemy of Daily Living, Annie Besant Thought teachings on thought power, are not meant to remain in the realm of theory or symbolism. They demand embodiment. To grasp the principles is one thing. To live them is where true transformation begins. This is where philosophy meets practice, where the grand metaphors of sculptors and gardens translate into the quiet revolutions of everyday existence. How then does one harness thought power in a world of distractions, where the pull of old habits feels stronger than the whisper of higher wisdom? The answer lies not in sudden, sweeping changes, but in the deliberate cultivation of mental sovereignty, one conscious moment at a time. The discipline of attention, guarding the gates of the mind. The modern world operates on the principle of scattered attention, relentless bombardment of stimuli designed to fracture focus and keep the mind in a state of reactive turbulence. Besant's first practical imperative is simple yet radical. Take back control of what you allow into your mental space. This begins with the recognition that attention is not an infinite resource, but a sacred currency. Every input, a news headline, a social media scroll, or an idle conversation deposits its residue in the mind, shaping thought patterns in subtle but cumulative ways. To master thought, one must first become a vigilant gatekeeper. This does not mean retreating from the world, but engaging with it selectively. Consider the practice of mental hygiene. Just as one would not willingly consume poisoned food, so too must one refuse to consume poisoned thoughts. This could take the form of limiting exposure to violent media, avoiding gossip, or setting boundaries with chronically negative influences. More importantly, it means observing one's own internal dialogue, the unchecked mental chatter that often runs on autopilot. The moment one notices a thought of resentment, fear, or self-doubt, the practice is not to suppress it, but to replace it with its higher counterpart. Resentment with understanding, fear with courage, self-doubt with affirmation. The ritual of mental cultivation, from passive thinking to active creation. Thought power is not just about defense, it is about deliberate creation. Besant emphasizes the importance of structured mental exercises to strengthen the mind's capacity for focused intention. One such practice is the daily seed, thought, chosen idea or virtue that one dwells upon each morning, allowing it to take root before the demands of the day scatter attention. For example, one might meditate on the principle of patience, not as an abstract concept, but as a living force to be embodied in interactions, decisions, and reactions. Another potent tool is visualization. The mind responds to images more powerfully than to abstractions, and Besant encourages the practice of mentally sculpting desired outcomes with vivid detail. An athlete might visualize a perfect performance. A healer might envision light pouring into a wounded area. A leader might mentally rehearse a speech with clarity and conviction. These are not mere exercises in positive thinking. They are acts of mental architecture, where thought forms are constructed in the inner world before manifesting in the outer. The alchemy of speech. When thoughts become words, thought spoken aloud gains momentum, like a spark fanned into flame. Besant cautions that words are not neutral. They are thought forms, given breath, carrying even greater magnetic power than silent ideas. This is why many wisdom traditions emphasize the sanctity of speech, from the Buddhist concept of right speech to the Hermetic principle of vibration. Practical application here involves a twofold: discipline, purification of expression, avoiding speech that is harsh, false, or wasteful, Gossip, complaints, and idle chatter are not just social habits. They reinforce negative thought patterns and leak vital energy. Empowerment, through declaration, using words consciously to affirm desired states. Affirmations, when spoken with feeling and repetition, act as commands to the subconscious, reshaping belief systems over time. A simple but transformative practice is the pause before speaking. Her momentary check: is what I'm about to say true, necessary, and kind? This tiny space of awareness can prevent countless thought forms of discord from being unleashed into the world. The collective dimension. Thought power in community. Besant's vision extends beyond individual mastery, recognizes that thoughts are contagious. Families, workplaces, and societies all have thought climates, invisible atmospheres shaped by prevailing mental habits. A household where criticism is the default language breeds a different energy than one where gratitude is regularly expressed. A team that focuses on solutions rather than problems generates a collective momentum that feels almost tangible. This understanding invites a shift in responsibility. To work on one's own thought power is to contribute to the healing or deterioration of the groups to which one belongs. Practical steps might include silent blessing, mentally sending goodwill to others, even especially in conflict; group meditation, gathering with others to focus on a shared intention, amplifying its potency; cultural observation, noticing the thought forms that dominate one's communities and consciously choosing whether to reinforce or redirect them. The lifelong ascent. Thought power as spiritual practice. Ultimately, Besant frames thought culture as the foundation of spiritual growth. The mind is the instrument through which we perceive the divine. If it is clouded, so is our perception. The practices she outlines, stention, visualization, speech, discipline, collective awareness, are not self-help techniques, but sacred technologies. The real-world implications are profound. A student mastering focus unlocks deeper learning. An artist channeling clear intention creates work that resonates beyond aesthetics. A peacemaker holding steady in compassion becomes a literal transformer of conflict. This is not mysticism removed from daily life, is mysticism applied to daily life, where every thought is recognized as a prayer, every mental choice a step toward heaven or hell.